The following video is dedicated in memory of Irene Cara, whom we sadly lost November 25th, 2022. Rest in peace. We all know the story of Snow White, don't we? Well, have you ever noticed that the story would continue years later? Only Disney would have made this, but it would be the last thing to come from the late great Lou Scheimer and the folks at Filmation. Get ready as I continue the story of Snow White as I review Happily Ever After. Big D's! Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. My name is Doyle, better known to as the Big D, and this time around I bring to you a review of the 1989 animated musical fantasy flick Happily Ever After. The film was originally distributed by First National Film Corp. And presented by Filmation, this being their last film. Of course, this came out the year when the studio went bankrupt. Anyway, the film was directed by John Hawley and features an all-star cast of voices, including Irene Cara voicing Snow White. Yes, you heard me correctly, as I am respectfully dedicating this underrated gem in memory of her. I know. I hope y'all don't get upset. I know I haven't really seen Fame, I don't think. And I am planning to review Flashdance later on this year since she sung the theme song to that movie. But enough about that. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. She leads an all-star cast that also includes Dom DeLuise, Malcolm McDowell, Phyllis Diller, Zsa Zsa Gabor, Ed Asner, Sally Kellerman, Carol Chang, and Tracey Ullman. Now, the film serves as a direct sequel to the Snow White fairy tale, wherein the titular heroine and the prince are about to be married, but a new threat appears in the form of the late evil queen's vengeful brother, Lord Malice. And the plot replaces the dwarfs with female cousins called the Dwarf Elves, who aid Snow White against Malice. And like with one of their previous films, Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night, you guessed it, the studio got into a little bit of an issue with Disney again. But anyway, I'll get to that in a bit. It had poor financial and critical reception following its wide release because, despite the film Filmation went bankrupt in 1989, the film wouldn't get released for another 4 years until 1993, as it was released in the Philippines in 1989 as Snow White: The Adventure Continues. Now, although the film was actually produced in 1988. Anyway, according to Scheimer, Irene Cara's casting as Snow White was regarded by many, including Cara herself, at the time as strangely colorblind. Yes, that's right. Surprise. And they originally wanted Joni Mitchell to voice Mother Nature. Now, Scheimer also noted his version of Snow White as the story's actual heroine, as is she who rescues the prince, in an inversion of the traditional version. The character of Lord Malice was based on Basil Rathbone. Yes, of course, he's the English actor who's been gone for years and what have you. Anyway, now apparently, the studio decided had like the Pinocchio film, the studio promised their characters would not resemble those of the Disney incarnation, and changed the title to Happily Ever After, because working titles for this include Snow White in the Land of Doom, Snow White and the Seven Dwarf Elves, and Snow White: The Adventure Continues. But anyway, Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of the story, but not all of it, though. Now, the film starts as the Looking Glass, sort of like the magic mirror, recaps the story of Snow White. The evil queen is gone following her death, and the kingdom is now at peace as Snow White and the prince prepare to get married. And back at the castle of the late evil queen, her animal minions celebrate their freedom by throwing a party for themselves. But her wizard brother, the cruel Lord Malice, arrives looking for his sister. After learning about the queen's recent demise, he vows to avenge her death by any means necessary, and transforms into a dragon and takes control of the castle, transforming the areas surrounding both the castle and the kingdom into a perilous wasteland. So, and afterwards, Scowl, the owl, starts training his companion, a bat named Batso, on the ways of evil. And then the next day, Snow White and the prince are in the mill picking flowers for their wedding, when Malice, in his wyvern form, begins attacking Snow White and the prince as they are traveling to the cottage of the seven dwarfs. Malice subdues the prince and captures him, while Snow White manages to flee into the woods and reaches the dwarf's cottage. However, they're not there, and she meets the cousins of them, the dwarf elves. Muddy, Sunburn, Blossom, Marina, Critterina, Moonbeam, and Thunderella. Now, Snow White learns that the dwarfs have left the cottage after they bought another mine in a different kingdom. But the dwarf elves gladly assist taking Snow White to visit Mother Nature at Rainbow Falls. And that's when they learn what's going on. And to make matters worse, Malice turns, well, well, releases someone. Well, I can't tell you who it is. I almost let it come out by a snip of my tongue, but I'm not telling you. Releases a mysterious, strange clothed humanoid known as the Shadow Man as they encounter him. But I won't tell you who that is. If you want to see this movie, by all means, you're more than welcome to. But I would only recommend this if you are a die-hard Filmation fan, or if you really want to see how the Snow White story continues, well, then you're more than welcome to check this out. Anyway, now, you'll hear 4 songs on here. There's The Baddest, Thunderella's song, Mother Nature's song, and Love is the Reason, which you hear at the end credits, performed by Irene Cara herself. Now, as for the voice acting cast, I will say Irene Cara does a pretty good job on voicing Snow White. She's really good. May she rest in peace. Voicing Lord Malice is Malcolm McDowell, who I think he does a pretty good job. Phyllis Diller voices Mother Nature, pretty good. Michael Horan voices the Prince. Oh yes, of course. Horan, of course, was best known for playing Grady Fletcher on Murder, She Wrote. Yes. And he's done lots of other things as well. Voicing the Looking Glass is Dom DeLuise, who the same year that this film was actually supposed to be released, but was released in the Philippines, was voicing Itchy in Don Bluth's film All Dogs Go to Heaven. Voicing Muddy is Carol Channing. Blossom is voiced by Zsa Zsa Gabor. Maria and Critterina are voiced by the late Linda Gary, another one of the popular voice actresses at Filmation. She had recently let her voice some of their tunes, such as Black Star and He-Man. Voicing Sunburn is Sally Kellerman, who, of course, most people knew her best for playing Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan in the MASH movie, the 1970 film from Robert Altman. And she's done numerous other films and appeared on TV shows. Let me see. Also, Tracey Ullman voices Moonbeam and Thunderella. Voicing Scowl is Ed Asner. And voicing Batso is Frank Welker. We also have the character the Sunflower, Mother Nature's grumpy assistant, voiced by Jonathan Harris, who, of course, I mentioned in the Pinocchio film. He voiced Lieutenant Grumblebee. He also did other stuff. Of course, he was best known for playing Dr. Zachary Smith on Lost in Space, and of course, he also did numerous other shows. He appeared as the character I found out what the name is Fagin in a couple of episodes of Arc 2, and also best known for playing Commander Isaac Gampu the in the studio's live action series Space Academy. Anyway, like the Pinocchio film, this didn't do too well at the box office. It only made $3 million, but I think has gained a cult following in some ways. Anyway, and this came out just unfortunately before First National Films went bankrupt as well, just weeks after the film's premiere. And its president, Milton Verrett, was found guilty of defrauding investors. Anyway, the film was later released on videocassette and Laserdisc by World Vision, and later on DVD by Fox, in it censoring some of the violence. The NBCI Eclipse released it on DVD, plus along in a storybook themed set with Journey Back to Oz and A Snow White Christmas, which in ways no relation to this, even though that was also from Filmation. Now, as of now, unlike I think the Pinocchio movie is under license by this, but even though when I saw on Tubi, it was streaming rights was done by Film Rights, but I can't guarantee you that. Anyway, Universal currently owns the rights to this through DreamWorks Animation under their ownership of DreamWorks Classics, which holds much of the Filmation catalog. So we'll see if this ever gets a re-release. I can't guarantee you that. But anyway, some people were hard on this and what have you, and some were not. New York Times said this film was visually mundane. The animation is jumpy, the scenes flat, the colors pretty, but less than enchanting. The movie's strongest element is its storytelling, which is not only imaginative but also clear and smoothly paced. Now that I can agree on, but I do like how colorful some of the bits are. Now, one of them said that the characters, especially the prince, were bland and called the film's songs instantly forgettable. One derided the inane humor attempts as well as badly drawn characters and clumsy animation. Well, that's understandable and what have you. Now, on the positive review, the Seattle Times said that this one's a cut above in the animation contest, deserving attention in the once exclusive realm of both Disney and Don Bluth. It almost, but not quite, escapes those nagging comparisons. People wrote that although the animation is less sophisticated than the Disney standard, the story moves nicely, though, with a colorful cast of voices. And the Sun Sentinel said it's a sweet and likable film, creating a screenplay that avoids cuteness and sentimentality and remembers that kiddie fare is fun and a few charming songs and to the merriment. Well, anyway, you be the judge if you decide to watch this film. The full movie's available on YouTube. You can check it out if you'd like. Give me just a minute. I'll see if I can find some pics. Here's a look at the film's villain. That's Lord Malice. He's pretty creepy and what have you, And here's a shot of Snow White and the Dwarf Elves. Yeah. Yeah, this would be Filmation's last film. Now, I forgot to mention the Pinocchio vid that they had planned to do a spin-off, an animated spin-off of that film called Bugsburg, but that didn't go through. And the same with a spin-off of Brave Star called Bravo. But I think if you've watched the Brave Star video, then you'd know. Anyway, there would also be a video game. We only got one for Super Nintendo from American Softworks Corporation, developed by Imagitech. You can find clips from, well, video play of the game, as well as maybe a few playthroughs of the game, and even the game's soundtrack on YouTube. But if you'd like to check out, it's good and all, but well, you'll see it if you want to. It was supposed to come out on Genesis, but it didn't get released. Same with the NES, but however, a few years back, they managed to find a prototype of the game, so you can find a few gameplays or walkthroughs of that on YouTube as well. So anyway, I'd say I'm only suggesting a one-time watch, or unless you are, if only if you are a hardcore Filmation fan, or if you would really like to see how the story of Snow White continues, just for the fun of it. So, but if you have seen Happily Ever After, let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And stay tuned for my Saturday morning TV log of Yo Yogi coming up tomorrow. So thank you for watching, and if you like this, check out my reviews for these other films. In the upper left-hand corner is my review of Pinocchio and the Emperor of the Night. The upper right-hand corner is my review of the Brave Star movie, or Brave Star the Legend. Or if you'd like, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my review of the original Disney classic itself, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.